Yes, thank you for the invitation, and I'm glad to talk to you about a few of the, mainly two of the projects that we are working with. That is the Faros and the Ocean Citizen. Next, please. Yeah, so both of the projects are, their main goal is for restoring marine ecosystems and biodiversity in different ways. They have they will restore marine biodiversity, eliminate ocean pollution, and within the sustainable blue economy, they also include different innovations within these projects, and it's part of consortiums of 24 and 23 different partners from around the world, from Europe. And here at the right, you can see a little bit of the pilot sites and how are they evolving during this time of the projects. So mostly we have pilot sites, for example, in Norway, Denmark, Israel, others in Iceland, for example, in the Faros project. And I'm going to focus specifically on the ones that are here in Spain, and we also have interventions here in Canarias, in Tenerife and Gran Canaria. So the interventions mainly, as I told you, are multifaceted. So they include monitoring sensors, integrated multi-trophic aquaculture, and in this case also artificial reefs. So a little bit of overview of how the permitting works and how many permits are involved within these projects. It's between 3 and 4 types. So it will be all the permits related to biodiversity, wildlife sampling, also the seabed or coastal occupation permits that are for the artificial reefs, monitoring stations. This can be either temporal or concession, and also the fisheries for the INTA and aquaculture. So a little bit of the context. There has been a few years in this transition of competences of administrative powers from the central government to the different autonomous communities, and there's a few allocation of the responsibilities, but I understand this process haven't finished yet. So the autonomous communities have certain responsibilities within this process, and also the central government in this case, biodiversity and the coastal administration have also another binding opinions and compatibility reports they need to expedite. So I'm going to focus mainly on the framework for artificial reefs. Okay, so on 2024, there was these new guidelines for the installation and management of artificial reefs that were basically adopted and approved in June 2024, and they have been lastly updated in November 2025. So the current status, as far as we understand, is that to date, no artificial reefs projects have been authorized in Spain after this new regulation came in place. Next, please. Yes. Yeah. So my intention is not to go over this graph like thoroughly, but just I wanted to sort of put an image on your heads on how complicated the process is for getting the permits, and how many revisions they need to do, how many authorities are involved, and the amount of documentation that you need to present for this process. So there is mainly, well, we can say there's 4 large phases. That it's a pre-submission where you basically prepare all the information, prepare the application form, present the project, do all the technical reports, the impact assessments, and so on. Can you go back, please? And then In this case, for artificial reefs, you present them to the autonomous communities, and then they will go through a number of different opinions, and then to the central government, and then they will come back to the autonomous communities, and then they will make a decision, and they will either like say yes or no. Okay, so next, please. So within this process, and trying to understand also how things are going within other harassment projects and review information. So there was this paper that was published in 2025. It's basically by colleagues from the University of Swansea, and what they do is they do a thorough analysis of marine restoration permits around the world, and they also do different interviews of restoration practitioners, marine restoration practitioners. And what we can see is that most of the issues that they are, or the challenges that they report is that there's a complex and slow process of marine licensing, there's no clarity, there's also this represents an onerous and costly marine licensing. There is a restriction, for example, on the deployment of different restoration material, preventing areas for doing some innovation or novel materials and methods. So when I read this paper, like I was quite happy because I didn't feel like too alone. And it's good to see that this is moving also on the academic environment. Next, please. So as part of the revision, it was good to see that there has been different matrices that are developed for example, coastal and marine restoration projects. This is specifically for an academic in Australia, and where what they do is basically try to put together a matrix from low and high impacts or environmental impacts of the marine restoration projects, but they are basically based in, for example, location, the methods they use, like if they are novel, if they are commonly, like if these methods, for example, are used elsewhere, and how they are adapted into the new environment. So this is basically their proposal to how to, for example, streamline certain projects that can be cataloged within, for example, the green areas, that there will be a low potential impact from the project to fail, and a low potential impact for cause negative effects, for example. So I think this is really helpful to see, obviously adapted to the reality of Spain. Next, please.
It goes with a bit of delay.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so this final slide, I wanted to share a little bit of the challenges and potential solutions for marine restoration projects, for example. So, I mean, one of the challenges that we are foreseeing is that all the permitting, it's really fragmented. The process involves multi-agencies, so we will involve agencies from the autonomous communities, from the central government, environmental authorities, fisheries, a lot of them. So, I mean, it's not an easy process. So, for us, a potential solution, for example, is to implement this digital one-stop shops for permitting, or this like regulatory sandboxes, where you can basically put together all the process in one place, so practitioners can go and say, okay, I want to do this type of project. This is the documentation that I need. This is the process that I'm gonna go through. These are the times that the administration have to respond, and so on. Basically, this to improve coordination, improve transparency, and for sure, predictable timelines for all these projects. That will be really useful, basically for project management, for funding, and so on. Also, in terms of an environmental impact assessment, so reviewing the information, we understand that there is no specific fast way for marine restoration projects, and in most of the cases, the precautionary principle it's applied quite rigidly in terms of the potential impact of these projects, and also, I mean, often stopping low risk and basically excluding different actions that have high net environmental benefit. So it would be helpful to have legal definitions for marine restoration actions, for example, and places where the definitions need to be flexible to innovation, acknowledge the environmental benefit of these actions, and also an application of a proportionate do not harm principle. Another point, and the final one, will be that it will be really helpful to have different places or marine restoration zones where marine restoration is applicable. This can be planned within spatial planning instruments, and this is to minimize conflicts with other uses of the ocean, and also it will help to streamline the permitting, because you will have different spots within areas where you can try innovation, get the permits, be able to prove if they are successful or not, and this way streamline all the process and grow the restoration areas within Spain.